Hello, I'm Andy Pidsley of API Sound and Visual. We're a specialist church audio-visual designer and installer, which includes cameras and streaming systems, as well as sound and projection systems, and also includes acoustic treatment for excess reverberation. If you're looking for a basic streaming seminar, then I suggest you take a look at my previous webinar. You'll see a link to it on the screen. Just before we start, I've got to admit that this is my third take on this, and the first take I got the audio wrong. The second take I had the microphone off entirely, and now this is the third take. So I hope you find that encouraging, that we don't always get it right even though we're supposed to be professionals. In this short seminar I'd like to look at some of the learning we've picked up over the last year with a huge increase in camera and streaming projects. Firstly, let's look at connections to the outside world. Getting broadband connections to churches seems to be either quite straightforward or really quite difficult. We've got some customers with large graveyards where the installation of a fixed line is prohibitive, and others where it seems not to be a problem. Some churches in towns where the nearest point of connection offers pitiful service, and others where it's high-speed fibre. This is where having the option of a microwave link from a nearby building which has good broadband connection, such as a church office building or friendly parishioner willing to share, is a very workable solution. We've had an example recently in a large town where the church was offered a service via an ancient cabinet of only around 1 megabit per second upload speed, but on the other side of the car park, homes were getting reliable 20 megabits per second. So in this case, we were able to demonstrate to the church that a microwave link from the house in question delivered the same speed. Of course, there's often the option to use 4G, and this works well for many, but not always. The problem here seems to be that the measured speed of a 4G connection can hide some big dips in speed. For most types of service, such as web browsing, these dips are not noticeable, and even when streaming content, the buffer covers up most interruptions. However, when streaming out rather than in, this doesn't seem to work as well, with freezing or loss of image or sometimes sound. We've had situations where it's been fine under test, but not on a Sunday morning. So we always advise that a fixed broadband connection is the gold standard. Moving on to hardware, the downside of using a single pan tilt zoom camera has been that whenever the camera moves to a different shot, for example from the high altar to lectern, to avoid the seasickness of effect of seeing the camera move in view, it's often been necessary to cut to another camera or source, and then back to the original camera once it's found its new shot. This has meant an additional cost and complication of another camera and switcher to cut between sources. However, now with our latest cameras, a single camera solution can offer a slick production even when the camera has to move between shots. I'll show you moving between this shot and another shot. This is achieved by momentarily freezing the image while the camera moves and unfreezing it once it's come to rest. I'll show you again. This gives a clean cut effect with a barely noticeable freeze. This has allowed us to offer a lower cost solution at an entry level to the market. And see this in operation, take a look at Catholic Exeter on Facebook. Look at some of their services and you'll see the priest change shot in the middle of the service. Continuing on the camera theme, controlling of the camera position has traditionally been done with a joystick controller to set up the shot and numbered memory buttons to recall the saved shots. The joystick is then only used for minor repositioning of the camera when required. But this is actually quite tricky, particularly in a live situation with a bit of a shaky hand, and it's easy to overshoot. So instead of this, we've introduced a new camera control system that we built around this 15-button controller that has several pages of buttons available, some to recall presets, some to manually move the camera, and others to control the rest of the system. We can even control your song words as well with some systems. This allows us to control the entire system from a single simple panel. Moving on to streaming providers. Having set up several systems on YouTube and Facebook, we're aware that the free streaming providers don't offer the easiest route to streaming, even though they do have their advantages if you want to stream to a wider world. For example, both YouTube and Facebook, you have to press a button while logged in to actually go live and start streaming. Even if you've already scheduled the stream using this function in advance, This means you still have to have a computer on hand to start the stream, even if you're not using one to perform the actual streaming function. We've always been great advocates of hardware streaming units, dedicated hardware, so the entire function can be streamlined, no pun intended. And it's simple for those who do not want to learn how to do it on a computer and increase the risk of not getting it right. Both the well-known providers require you to go through several layers of buttons before you can go live. So we've been looking at what else is on offer, and many paid-for services are much easier to use, only requiring the sending of a stream from a camera or switcher to automatically stream to a fixed web link or your website, or even over to YouTube again. The disadvantage for churches and other low-volume users is that they typically charge a fixed monthly fee, regardless of the amount of time you're streaming for. And as they're designed for the commercial market, these costs are out of proportion to the use in a typical church. So we're currently developing our own solution, which is based on usage, where you only pay for the streaming minutes that you use, so the cost is proportional to your time online each month. Please give us a call if you're interested in finding out more about this service. Around 1/3 of our customers are using Zoom rather than a streaming platform to share their services. This is a great way to do it, particularly if you want to have interaction during the service from remote participants. One major difference with Zoom is that it has to run on a laptop or PC, and this requires a slightly different setup when used with permanently installed cameras and a sound system. A video capture device is necessary to turn the camera signals into a format that Zoom can pick up as a camera. This is usually either a simple USB device or a vision switcher in the case of a multi-camera system with USB to create a web-like output. Zoom then treats this the same as an integrated or plug-in webcam. Using a conferencing service such as Zoom has its hidden difficulties, especially with audio routing. Issues that we've encountered using Zoom to connect remote participants into a live service are mostly audio related. These are because the outgoing audio to Zoom comes from the church sound system, but the incoming audio from remote participants needs to go into the same sound system, creating a loop. To avoid this, you need a mixer which has an auxiliary bus to send a different mix to Zoom, not containing the channel that has Zoom coming back in. This tends to be a problem with simple mixer amplifiers, not with more sophisticated mixers. As ever, I hope you found these thoughts and comments useful. For more advice, you can contact me, Andy Pidsley, on our email address info@apicommunications.co.uk, or give us a call 01392 677 668, and I'd be happy to go through your particular requirements and take a look at some ideas of how you can move forward. Have a look at our YouTube channel, API Communications Limited, for some walkthrough case studies of recent projects, and also check out Catholic Exeter or St Andrews Columpton to see more real streaming images from our systems. I thank you for listening and hope to see you in person soon at a Christian Resources exhibition.
Nothing beats sitting on it, hearing it, tasting it, wearing it, handling it, trying it, comparing it.
The copier produces 1,000 copies for £4. The Riso digital printer produces 1,000 copies for £1.20 at 140 pages per minute.
Discussing it.
The interesting thing about this centre is a very difficult breed on a very small site.
Buying it. Recommending it. I definitely recommend it.
It's always good to have resources, and yeah, this is very resourceful, so it's a great place to be.
Nothing beats being here. Buy your tickets online now. creonline.co.uk/tickets.